Welcome to the Creative Possibilities Podcast, a show for artists, dreamers, and individuals wanting to reconnect to their creativity. I am your host, Amber Price, and author of the Creative Possibilities book. And I'm inviting you to a space where creativity meets conversations about inspiration, hope, and rediscovering flow. Let's celebrate the creativity in all of us. Welcome, Monica, to the Creative Possibilities podcast. I'm so happy to have you here and have a conversation with you today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's such a joy to be here with you.
Yes, I love it. I love meeting new friends, and our worlds intersected just a little bit ago. We're both in a program called Radical Magic for creative entrepreneurs. And it's really introduced me to a lot of cool people doing cool things, and you are one of them. And so I know just a little bit about you, but the interview will help us learn a little bit more about each other. What I do know about you is that you are a creative individual that is focused on helping parents learn how to be compassionate, creative, parents that raise children to be good humans. So that's what I know about you. And you came up with a framework to help other parents kind of learn how to do this. Um, so
Yeah,
so cool.
thank you. Yes, conscious parenting is really the root of it all. And I do have parent P.A.R.E.N.T framework, but under the framework is 7 pillars. And the first pillar is really awareness. And so, really, thank you for having me to open this space for the opportunity to help educate our world into transforming the trajectory really of our children and our lives. Because when we are present and
Mhm.
aware of who we are and how we can um, really connect with one
Mhm.
another, then really that is the relationship. That's how relationships thrive, when we can have authentic connection with people, and especially our children, because they are the future.
Absolutely. We had a little bit of discussion right before we started recording, and I told you a story about how I worked at a psychiatric hospital with children and adolescents and how I definitely saw the need for parents to be healthy, to learn how to help their children through mental health issues. It really opened my eyes working with children who were struggling at such a young age. It also made me realize that parents were struggling as well to know how to help their children. So I definitely believe in the change that can happen when parents, they themselves, learn about their emotions and when they help their children with their emotions too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%. I think that that's the thing, is that I think parents tend to like suffer in silence, and maybe
Mhm,
they're not even aware of their own emotional triggers. And then they
mhm,
have children, and then it just exasperates, the internal uh, dysfunction, the internal mental health, the internal
mhm.
stories, all of the things that we're really not aware of. And then we have children, and it's just like these other humans that we're, responsible for. And
Mhm.
we really haven't even been able to, heal our own emotions. And then our children
Yeah.
are, our triggers for all of those emotions. Something that
Oh,
we
they push
did
all the buttons, I've heard. Yeah.
that we talked about before is just that there is no, anybody can be a parent. There's no regulation, there's no prerequisite.
Mhm.
Oftentimes people think, that we think that a child will actually help us get better, or feel better or fill a void,
Totally.
and that obviously is not the case. So, um,
Definitely not. I've learned a lot in the mental health field, the words dysregulated and co-regulation, and those I really love. It's kind of like when we are not mentally balanced, we're dysregulated. Like, we can't find what's balance. And if a parent is dysregulated, oftentimes they're not able to teach their child how to regulate their emotions. And the term co-regulation, when a parent can regulate their emotions and teach a child how to regulate their emotions, like that is powerful. That is definitely something that I love to learn about.
Oh, absolutely. And I focus a lot of that in the pillars and the framework, and also is because when it starts with us. And
Hmm.
I often find, as a little bit more about my background, is that I spent over almost 20 years in the classroom as a preschool teacher and curriculum coordinator, and um, really an infant toddler specialist. And then I kind of left that career and became a full-time parent. Um, and now I have teenagers, and a single mom. So I'm, managing all of the different emotions. Two girls. So there's
Teenage emotions, yes.
a lot of emotions. But what I've found is um, that we are their greatest role model, right? And so the more, and I said this in a different video, but it's like the more freak out or anxiety we have, the more they have. So it really is starts with us, and it starts with recognizing our own behaviors and our own triggers. And I have really learned, I think now the older I get and the older my kids get, is that when I can recognize my behavior first and then apologize for it, or at
Hmm.
least, have a conversation about it, then it teaches them that they can also do that as well. And then we can also support, all the emotions that come through, because
Yes, yes, yes.
there's so many emotions, right? They're all trying to, to teach us something. Um,
Mhm. Yeah,
so
I love how you said that. It's kind of the repair that can happen after, nobody can, there's no perfect parent out there. There's no perfect human that knows how to perfectly handle every search situation. That's like not even realistic. So I love that you said that, taking responsibility, saying you're sorry as a parent, and then repairing the relationship with communication, with like coming to your child and talking to them. So that role models how they can do that as well. So that's powerful.
thank you. These are all the pillars there, and they're all parenting pillars of alignment. So I do
Mhm.
believe that those are, when they are never all in alignment at the same time, it seems like, but recognizing them all the pillars, communication and awareness, and that's why I titled my chapter "Connection, Not Perfection," is because
Ah.
there is no perfection, and I think society has there's some sort of, well, in a curated, contented world, that there is this idea of perfection out there there really is not. And I really anchor in the connection piece, to parenting, because
Mhm.
it's so easy to disconnect, especially now. I feel like we're in a world where there is a pandemic of disconnection, and we're
Mhm.
all again, I talk about this in my chapter, that I chose to really check in with my children versus checking out because of my own, mental health, and my own depression, and going through divorce, and going, finishing my master's, and just all of the things that life throws at us, right? That it's easy to disconnect. It's easy to check out. That's the easy route, is to, be absorbed in our own worlds versus really checking in. And that's where the conscious parenting comes in, is that I chose to check in and become very, you know, maintaining those rituals to stay connected to my
Yeah.
kids. And it is not perfect. So I don't claim perfection either. I mean, it definitely comes
Yes.
in waves, and but yeah, that's the goal, because if we stay connected now, then, over the years, that's where the restore, repair, reconnect,
Mhm.
um
All that good stuff happens.
philosophy is.
All
Yeah.
those skills that we use over and over in life too.
Yeah, that aren't necessarily taught, right? We have to
Mhm.
s- want to make that connection in our. I think that's also the sad, not as sad, but I don't know, just that parents want to have that connection, but they don't know where to start. And so we focus on changing the child's behavior versus looking at our own behavior to change.
Yes, absolutely. It does start with the parent. I recognize that from my job, talking to a lot of parents, and yeah, it's not about fixing the child necessarily. Sometimes it's about trying to fix a relationship or find balance in a relationship again, too.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yes, balance. That's the thing, right? That's the dysregulation, right? Is out of we're out of balance.
Mhm.
Mm. And
You mentioned a chapter in a book, and so I'm familiar with what book you're talking about, but what book is this, and how does that relate to parenting and creativity? Um,
yeah, so it's part of the Creative Life book series.
I,
And I was in a co-authored book. And this was the Creative Life book number 3 called Radical Freedom.
mhm,
Let go of who you were to set your creative soul free. And so I wrote Connection, Not Perfection.
mm,
And it was really an introduction to the parenting pillars that I put in, that I created. And again, and I have 6 pillars in there. And
mhm.
this is the perfect example of connection, not perfection, because after I wrote that chapter, I was
Yeah.
really looking at the whole framework and I was like, oh my gosh, there's actually 7 pillars because the seventh. So I'm
There's
like,
a new one.
yeah, there, I mean, it was embedded into one of the pillars, but what is but it is really its own pillar, and that is connection or communication.
Yeah.
So, it's we have to have awareness and we have to take responsibility, and then communication and
Mhm.
boundaries, consistency, um, um, uh, what was there's some other what was the other one? I try to go in order because I do know
Yeah.
that they're in alignment with our
Yeah.
chakra, but compassion and grace, that's actually after. It's communication, compassion, and grace, consistency, boundaries, and patience.
I
Yeah.
love that. And
I don't know if it's,
I love that it's aligned with the chakras too, and aligned with different aspects of kind of um, what we all have inside of us, our heart, our compassion, our ability to communicate, but it's kind of bringing it out, letting that shine through, basically, it sounds like.
yeah, definitely. There's
Mhm.
yeah, tuning in to those different pillars. Really, every parenting situation can fall into one of those pillars of,
Mm.
being, first of all, compassion and grace for ourselves as adults, because we really need to nurture the inner child.
Oh,
That
yes.
all of these now buzzwords, right? Inner child, co-regulation, regulating, nervous systems, all of these things. But
They're important. Yeah. They're buzzwords because I think a lot of people are paying attention to them now, and it's helping a lot of people to pay attention to their inner child, to pay attention to compassion, to pay attention to their nervous system regulation. It's definitely something that I find helpful as well. Uh,
yeah, what's interesting is that I teach a college class called Parenting Across the Lifespan, and I was able to assign that chapter um as a reflective part of the program. And what stood out to me is reading one of them is that a student wrote that she wasn't really allowed to cry because her parents had told her, if you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about. And I just thought these are this is the model of parenting that I want to be able to actually change the parenting paradigm, because
mhm,
these are the things that I'm sure they heard that from their parents and they heard that
mhm,
from their parents, and all of
mhm.
these, you know she's like, I'm not even sure what that
Patterns.
actually meant, but I knew that it was, like, we have these fears to be able to to not be able to feel our feelings,
Mhm.
because then you'll really have something to feel about, So I thought that was really the
Yeah.
part of the mission is being able to change, the way that we communicate with our children and being able to honor them as individuals and not trying to always change their behavior, but to
Mm.
just be present for what comes up.
Love it. Yeah. And you mentioned it's kind of sometimes we have to unlearn or let go of unhealthy patterns that we were taught as children. Maybe things that parents, with maybe their best intention in mind, they didn't know any better, but they said things that really impacted our future and
My
the future of
God.
parenting. So I'm going to ask you specifically about letting go as a parent. What did you have to let go of to become a parenting coach to teach the perspective of these 7 pillars that you're talking about?
Yeah, thank you for that. And first, I wanted to also say that I have no judgment, and this
Hmm.
is not about criticizing parents at all, because I am, like you said, like letting go. Like I have to let go of my own expectations,
Hmm.
and I let go of my own perfectionism. I letting go, and this is a work in progress. That's why there's, like I say, there's no perfection because. Um, but I don't claim to be a perfect parent at all. That's why I want to make sure that people understand that I'm not out here criticizing other people. I'm here to support that, but letting go of my own expectations and control and um, yeah, recognizing my own triggers and that it's not their fault, right? And it's not our parents' fault. It's just it's like we only know what we know until we know it, and then we can have that awareness and
Hmm.
then take the responsibility to heal and grow and restore and repair. So it's really, and the like you said, it's like the unlearning. So
Yeah.
letting go of the things that that aren't working, and it is kind of course correcting. So if it's not working, it's not about um forcing a something that's not working. Is that it's okay to
Let it
pivot.
go. Yeah, pivot. I love that. Yes, it's definitely one of those things that for a lot of parents, what they're doing is what they're taught and what they were taught. And sometimes it is about recognizing what's not working and then having the choice. Choice is huge. I love choice. Like there's sometimes we don't even realize that we have a choice because it's like, oh, this is just what I do as a parent, or this is what I do as a human. This is what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, just your approach to parenting sounds like you're giving parents a choice to choose a new path, to choose a different kind of connection, and that's huge.
Yeah, thanks. It just always reminds me of this one. If you've seen the real life version of Cinderella, and she's riding on the horse, and she's like escaping just that moment of and anyway, it's when she meets Kit in the forest, and
Mhm.
they're all out deer hunting, and she comes face to face with the big deer, and she's then later, she tells the deer to go along. So it and anyway, she says to Kit, just because it's always just because it's always been done doesn't mean it always needs to be done. And
Mm.
something like that. I'm not really good at memorizing it, but
No,
I'm
that's
like,
a beautiful summary. Yes.
it's exactly so true. It's like
Mhm.
it's just because that's just because that's the way it's always been done doesn't mean it's the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Um, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's just it. I mean, we're parented based on what we know from what they know and what they know and generationally passed down.
Mhm.
Um,
And we got science now, science that has done a lot of studies about what's actually helping children grow into, successful and emotionally regulated young adults. There's a lot of research now to help parents if they want a different approach.
yeah, absolutely. And I was just talking to another from Radical Magic in our group, another who's she's liberating people from shame. And one of the things that we had just talked about was that we are the only mammal that is completely dependent on our caregiver for almost the first year of life. I mean, really for the first year of life, because we,
Yes.
like other mammals, we know when they're born, they can walk and they're nearly independent already.
Yeah.
Because of our brain size, right? Our mothers can only carry us in the womb for so long that we're born completely dependent on the caregiver. So we are instantly learning based on their reaction,
Hmm.
and that's why, if a kid falls down and you're like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you, it kind of makes the kid anxious, and then they start, crying, or like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be hurt, versus if we take that calm approach, and like they're mirroring us, they're mimicking us, we're the role model. And so I just find that's part of the science behind it, is that, we're
Hmm.
so dependent on the caregiver that that is the first whole
Yeah.
um, impression.
Hmm. Yeah, the nature versus nurture, and we definitely have so much that the nurturing that our parents do to help us learn how to interact with the world. It's huge. It's definitely huge.
Oh my
My
God.
next question for you is related to those moments as a parent where there is panic. So you just kind of referenced that, where there's like, oh gosh, is my child okay? They just fell. How do you calm yourself or tune into you to be present for your children instead of the panic mode, mom?
Yeah, I know it sounds silly, but if we can just take that pause first, that's what, is to respond rather than react, because we're so quick to react. We're so quick to find the solution. We're so quick to answer. We're so quick, but if we can really just pause
Mhm.
and just hold the space,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
I mean, I just even just felt a release in my own body because I had anxiety about being on this, podcast, and my own triggers come up, but really it really is holding that space.
Mhm.
That is really more powerful than words can give. And sometimes no
Mm.
words are better. Like it's
Yes.
just,
Just to be there for them and to be there for yourself too, and in your body and not in that fight or flight reaction mode that, primitive human brain and primitive animals, we all share that part of our brain, animals and humans alike. But what we have is the ability to kind of go override that and go a little further and tune into our body, check in with ourselves, so that we can mirror, like you said earlier, mirror those, like the calmness, like it's okay.
yeah.
We're going to get through this. We're going to have space just for a moment of big emotions, perhaps, and then we're going
Sure.
to move forward.
Yeah, and same along those lines is a lot of times that is um just as simple as I hear you.
Mm.
If they're having whatever that, if the child is having it, and same for myself, like I have to be able to honor that within myself, like
Mhm.
giving myself permission to feel the feelings. It's the same thing for them. It's just
Yeah.
um, I hear you, like, yeah, that sucks right now. Like
This
they
is
don't
not
always.
easy. Yeah.
And to know, like, this is just, I say this a lot too, like this is just a blip in time, like in the moment, it's like
Mhm.
it's not going to last forever. And a lot of times this is why, when if we try to cut the tantrum off, it
Yeah.
can carry on and on and on. But if we actually just hold space for the tantrum, I mean, I
Mhm.
know it sounds easier said than done, but that's what kids are, so in the moment of their emotions that they just feel their emotion and then they move on, if
Mhm.
if they're allowed that kind of space. And then again, it's consistency and boundaries. Like obviously they're going to throw a tantrum if they want something and they don't get it, but then we give in because we want to stop the tantrum. If we didn't give in and we just hold the space for that, then
Mhm.
yeah, this is hard.
Mhm.
I hear you. It will pass.
I love those beautiful gems. I hear you. It will pass. Yes. Yeah, tantrums are a huge issue. My poor mom, I gave her many tantrums as a child to deal with, and we made it here today. I still love my mom. She still loves me, but it definitely is something that is so hard for parents to get through and not feel like they're slightly going insane during the process. So
Oh,
I hear you, and this too will pass. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that is so I think that that's the not one of them, but it is one of the biggest issues that parents deal with is that we're so quick to fix and we
Mhm.
don't want we take it personally if there is something, wrong or happening. I
Mm.
think that that's we're good versus bad, or I'm a bad mom if I let my kid cry, or there's this societal judgments, I think, and I
So many.
so
There's so
many. And so I think that that's why we're always, quick to the rescue, or we want to, find this, be the solution maker, um, think for the child. Uh, so I just, if we just were able to hold the space.
Mhm.
I actually have I wrote the tantrum toolbox because that is one of the biggest things. Like sometimes they just sit on the floor when they're little and open your arms and just know that you're holding space for them. If they want to come in for a cuddle, they can get it. Or if you could just get down on their level and
Mhm.
just show that you're the anchor of support, that is sometimes all it needs. And then I have to go on my own and regulate my own emotions, right? I go for a run or, lay in the sun or take a bath or whatever it is for each individual that you can process your own emotions. Those,
Yes.
that's the other key, that's the other piece of the puzzle is that when we're able to hold space for other people is because we're allowing ourselves to release and express and
Yes.
work through it all.
Yeah, giving yourself that self-compassion or giving yourself compassion as well as giving your child compassion.
Exactly.
It really sounds like there is a huge element of trust, like trusting that your love, trusting that the space, trusting that communication will work. How is trust a part of your parenting program?
Well, that's the T in the P-A-R-E-N-T. Yes. So trust is essential. And trust shows up because that's the consistency element is that it's more than just love. It's trust that, you're the anchor, you're listening, you're present,
Mhm.
you showing up. Trust is really it's built into the foundation of being authentic. And if I'm willing to be authentic with my feelings, then they can trust me because then I can then their feelings are valid also. Um, yeah, I just think
And then
that
once
that's
again, that's not something we learn in school. Trust is not really, it's kind of a deeper level emotion. It's a kind of a confidence that we build up with practice, I feel like. As an artist, I trust that I can do certain things because I've done it enough before and it turned out okay. Like nothing bad happened. I can paint over stuff that doesn't look great, but it sounds similar with parenting. You practice it enough, you do things enough, and it's like you're trusting in yourself that just holding space, holding the compassion, trusting that it can get better.
my gosh, 100%. And I say that all the time. Like parenting is a verb, it's an action, it's a practice.
Hmm.
It's like you don't wake up and you're good at it the first go around. I mean, like, right? It's just like everything we like riding a bike. Like you're not good at it the first time you get on a bike. It's a practice. Parenting is a daily minute to minute practice. And I get it wrong 1 minute and then I repair it the next minute. It's because I'm so invested in the relationship and the connection that I have with my own kids that is and that's the proof and evidence that I had in my classrooms, watching watching the relationships that I cultivated in my classrooms is that it's a practice and it takes can take it's a lifetime, and that my class is called parenting across the lifetime, across the lifespan, because it is a lifespan of practice and there are ages and stages. So, like I often hear, everybody's or the common term rather, is the terrible twos. Well,
Yes.
I think the twos are terrific. I mean, I love the terrible twos. I would always say in the, in the early stages that, 5 and under is my specialty. Like I don't know what to do when they're teenagers because I've spent, 20 years practicing being with 5 and under.
Yeah.
And so life is an age and stage. So that's why parenting is a practice. But when we make the choice, like you said, to
Mhm.
invest in the relationships, and invest in the awareness to grow and restore and repair the connections that will bumble through because of the ages and stages, and then new awarenesses are triggered
Mhm.
because of our own childhoods, right? Even if we had the best parents in the planet, there's circle of influence and there's teachers and there's coaches and, sports and, there's all of these different, it
Aspects of ourselves and aspects of our life. Yeah.
exactly. And so that's why it's a practice. But if they know that they can come home to the foundation
Mhm.
of safety and being seen and being, that trust aspect that I'm always here no matter what, um, that's how that relationship can grow. And it's just like the seeds. We're planting these seeds and, you know,
We trust that they'll grow. Yes.
yeah.
What have you discovered about your own strengths, whether it's creative strengths or strengths as a parent? What have you discovered along the way? Because it sounds like you're really good with preschool, but now you have teenagers. So, what have you discovered is kind of like the new strengths that you have with your teenagers?
That I can do hard things.
That's a great one. Yes.
I definitely have discovered that. I have discovered that um, patience even more so. I mean, I think it was really natural for me to be patient when they're little because they're little, right? And they don't,
They
but
don't know better.
they,
Yeah.
they're still learning and, like we would never criticize someone for learning how to walk, right?
Hmm.
So I am learning a new level of patience now that they're teenagers.
Hmm.
Um, and I learned that with myself because again, as a mom that wants to like mama bear, like I want to fix it and solve it and but it's not even about that. It's really just about listening. So less is best.
Love it. Yes. Yeah, and I've met quite a few resistant teenagers in my days as a therapist, and coming in cross-armed that definitely looking at me like I don't know anything. And so I've definitely kind of mastered the art of like, oh, kind of naivety, like, oh, I didn't know that, huh? Tell me more about that.
Yeah,
So just
more.
kind of that curiosity, oh, tell me what you experienced, because what I experienced is different.
Yeah.
And that opened more crossed arms than anything to just like, oh, I don't know, tell me. Um,
Hmm. Yeah. And
just
another
those subtle
phrase,
things.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that one.
interesting. I want to know more. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful discoveries, it sounds like, with your children that you're going through. And do you feel like it is transformed you? Do you feel more confident as just outside of being a mom? Do you feel more confident as a human sometimes after you get through some kind of maybe big situations with your children, or has it transformed your emotions in any way?
Wow, great question. Um, it's definitely expanded my vulnerability.
Okay.
It's expanded my ability to um, really have a new level of compassion and grace for myself, which I'm still learning how to do. I think
Ditto.
I think maybe we're all our worst critic. I don't know, but yeah, just that grace that like we are human and um, yeah, my willingness to invest in relationships is grown. or
Mm,
connection, with my kids as
I
well.
love that. Grace is a beautiful word, and definitely I try to give myself that. And it is a challenge. You go through some pretty big things with your children, it sounds like, and you are there making space, trying to take care of yourself. And then at the end of the day, giving yourself, like, I did the best that I could. We have tomorrow. We, like that was, and sometimes it's also about like counting those successes too. I feel like, hey, I did this really well today. Or I don't know if you find that to be true as a parent, like, okay, I
It
did this really
definitely
well.
learning how to celebrate myself more is
Okay.
really, really great. Mirror affirmations are really great. Just like looking myself in the mirror and telling myself, like, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And
Hmm.
I say this to other clients of mine. It's like you need to take the time to look in the mirror and celebrate yourself and look in your eyes and say, I'm doing a great job and everything's going to be okay. I don't
Hmm.
know that I do that and often enough for myself. Sometimes I go through really, phases of remembering to do that. But just the other day I was having a text exchange with my daughter and just being supportive of listening, even just through text. And
Hmm.
then she said, "Thanks, I really needed that." And so those are like big wins. Like if
Oh, yes.
I
Save
wasn't,
that text, screenshot that.
right, yeah. And it's again, it was just showing up. I wasn't trying to be a solution maker. I was just, you know, holding the space for that. And then yeah, when you get those points of validation of like the proof and evidence of that my conscious awareness is putting in the practice is working.
Mhm. Your success stories, your testimonials from your daughters texting. Yes.
Yeah, I'll
It's
take them.
like, well, my last question is about connecting with other parents. Just changing this just a little bit. So it sounds like right now you're taking your wisdom, you're taking your years of experience with working with children, and you're taking it to connect with other parents right now. Can you tell me a little bit? I know that you're still building everything and trying to kind of figure out, but what is your big vision for connecting with other parents with your seven pillars?
Yeah, really great question. I really feel as though being in community is really one of the greatest teachers and one of the greatest support systems, just like we have with Radical Magic. So,
Mhm.
I have a vision for being able to create an online container so I can connect with women from all over that are looking to grow their toolbox of, parenting tools and also create an awareness for where they're at. That's another phrase I like and I've heard recently again is start where you are. And so the coaching program, group container coaching program, kind of maybe an 8-week program that would be each week we could dive deep into a pillar and then a week summary of questions and Q&A and really
Mhm.
diving into because I really do believe that we all and really the pillars are not age specific. And like I'm saying, like I've practiced these pillars since my children were infants because I I came from that background, but now I'm adapting them to the teenage years. So there's no age specific um that it doesn't apply to. So I
That's so cool. Yeah, so you're welcoming mothers of all ages of children just to open their awareness to their parenting practices, to learn these seven different pillars so that they can approach their children consciously. Through-
mothers, fathers,
And
caregivers.
fathers too. Okay, yeah.
Because I also agree. I mean, I'm a single parent, so I know navigating this. I mean, it does take a village, and we have really disconnected from our village of community. And
Mm.
so I really feel like anybody that is in on the front line of parenting can benefit from these pillars.
Yes, and through the power of the internet these days, we can connect with parents and people all over. So I can't wait to see what your program, all the change that your program brings, because it's something that I feel like the world needs right now, and that parents are kind of desperate for something to help. And this really sounds like something that could help quite a few parents just figure out where to start.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you for opening this platform because I really it's actually proof and evidence to hear from your background and your line of work that
Mhm.
it's really kind of not talked about. It's
Mhm.
still I mean, I don't know that it's really mainstream yet to have parenting help. I mean, I say this also is that, if we want to 10x our business, we get a business coach, or if we want to get fit, we hire a trainer. It's so if we want to do our taxes, we hire a CPA. It's like, but we need to take the car to the mechanic. But where do parents go to get the support and the education that they need
Mm.
and deserve? Because like we said before, anybody can be a parent. There's no prerequisite. There's no, uh, you know, uh,
There's no guidelines out there, but there are opportunities to learn more about how to just go forward with more confidence and more love towards yourself and love towards your children too. So
yeah,
awesome.
I am writing parenting playbooks or the parent handbook I mean I do I it's coming, but yes, I mean I know because they say no kid comes with a handbook, right? But there are there are a million parenting books out there, I will say, and what I've the norm, I believe, is that it's always focusing on changing the child's behavior. It's like, how do we do that? But really, we need to start inward. And that's how that's what the pillars are rooted in the foundation of our own connection.
Love it, love it, love it. If someone wants to connect with you specifically, I know we talked about this ahead of time, but I'm going to put some links below in the YouTube description and on the podcast description. But just speaking it out loud, how do they find you on Instagram? What is your handle name or Instagram handle?
Yeah, thank you. It's Home and Harmony Parenting.
Okay.
So, Home and Harmony Parenting is on YouTube and YouTube Shorts
Uh-huh.
right now, and then Home and Harmony Parenting on Instagram. And
Easy.
and yeah, so that's the two
Awesome.
immediate places.
Love it. And more to come. More to come.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for
Yeah,
your
and if
time
anybody
today,
that
Monica.
picks up our book, the Radical Freedom book, I mean that's one chapter, and I've since gone on, but
Mhm.
added more.
Yes, I know. We're gonna add some more chapters this year, I think, in our group. So, yes, more to come. Well, I'm
Yeah.
so glad to spend this time with you today, Monica. Thank you for your time today. And um, I'll go ahead and wrap up today. But if people want to learn more, check out the description and connect with Monica, connect with the videos that she's making right now. They're awesome. So take
Thank
care,
you so
Monica.
much for this platform and for hosting me. I appreciate it so much.
Of course. Bye,
Thank
Monica. Take care.
you. Bye.